economy or from a circular economy perspective, sustainability would mean resource management in a way where the future generation, where we're utilizing resources and with the future generation in mind for them to be able to utilize as well. So as we know that life is in cycles, it would only be wise for us to start to develop systems and processes that can ensure that resources can be in use, resources can be efficient, resources can be utilized, and minimal waste management of resources essentially speaks to the efficiency of resource usage. So
how can the local communities in Nigeria drive sustainability initiatives that address environmental, social, and economic challenges?
Local governments, I think, are the most basic entities and the inroads to connecting with communities or the last mile users within communities. And if there was any strategy around tracking and monitoring impacts within a society, the local government would be the first place to test such concepts or ideas. And so that's why, our model of connecting with the last mile through the local governments, utilizing business entities has become our framework for us to drive not only the concept or the idea of sustainability, but also utilizing circular economy as a panacea to getting our community members to be attracted to the idea of sustainability, to the idea of waste management, and to the idea of green economy as a whole.
I'm just wondering what can be done differently, because in the past, most of the community people, once you talk about, once projects are being brought to them and you talk about sustainability, in most cases they don't see it as their own. They just feel it's their own project. And when you now begin to talk about sustainability, it becomes a challenge. What can be done differently at that level?
I think the first and foremost, we get so hung up in this quote and unquote fancy, sexy words, and we don't. It brushes away the essence of it. Like I said again, because sustainability is about continuity, and within the context of what we're talking about, it's about resource management. What it means is that everything that is around us right now has a potential value attached to it. Even the air we breathe has value attached to it. And even though we take it for granted, you need to speak to people who are in need of oxygen, or who they provide gases in cylinders, and then you know how important air is. So I think the first inroad is establishing that level of education for our communities to understand that life from a sustainable perspective has become very, very dynamic. It has also become an opportunity to generate income, to generate revenue. It's not business as usual anymore. The sustainable practices that is required for us it touches on every aspect of our lives. If we live sustainably, it should affect our health. it should affect our productivity. It should affect our interactions and our exchanges. It should affect our physical enablement. It should affect, the environment and the choices that we make. So how do we make that as tangible as possible? There is the ideology of climate change, and people do not get it because it seems quite abstract on this side of town. But it is also a phenomenon that we have no control over. We cannot change it. We cannot control it. And so the question then remains: how do we make this measurable for us? How do we ensure that we're building resilience by adapting ourselves to the changing climate? There's so many things that happen to us, that happen around us right now, that is a function of the change on climate change. We are experiencing rain, in the early years. We're experiencing intense heat. There's drought and there's flooding. On one end, we can say, flooding is as a result of drainages that are blocked and gutters that are not well managed. But what are those items or those components that block those drainages? There are waste items that are not dissolvable, in very, very quick terms. They are not items that should be found clogging up our drainages. They should be utilized. They're not supposed to be on the dump sites. So it then brings up the question of waste management. Are we disposing and are discarding and are we discarding our waste the way that it should be? So if we then talk along the trajectory of waste management, then we can say, why do we need to discard our waste effectively? Why do we need to discard it responsibly? But these are not the questions that you ask, abstractly for us in Africa, because we do not have that altruistic tendency to understand that waste management in itself, or responsible waste management in itself, is not only a citizen's responsibility, it is an environmental, stewardship calling on us. Because wherever you stay, if your environment is clean, your well-being is guaranteed. Your health is in good shape. You have access to be able to freely be creative, because you can think. Your mind is not clogged up. What you see is what you become. So these are the reasons why we have created models and innovations and vehicles that can help our communities to understand that even if you do not understand climate change, or if you do not understand circular economy, we want to bring it to your doorstep. We want to help you in interacting firsthand with opportunities to generate waste as an incentive to understanding what climate change or circular economy is about. There's a project that we have run in quite a couple of local communities, local governments, and we call it the EcoCirculate. And it's essentially a waste management, climate education, and circular economy vehicle where we get to activate communities. We name these communities after the EcoCirculate version or the EcoCirculate edition that we take this template to. And what do? We essentially get people to learn more about climate literacy. We get businesses to interact on the behalf of the government with the communities, so that they're able to see the opportunities for operations and profitization through exchange of value using waste as the item. We have done well over 8 of these community areas. The next one that is coming up is happening at Ojokoro. And the good news about this one is that as we continue along that trajectory, along the plan of establishing climate literacy and climate education, we are tacking on the aspects for young people. We want to be able to get the community to own this project, right? What makes this a bit different this time around is that we have opened up children's climate literacy ages from 8 to 10 to get them to understand that in the area of formation of ideas, in the area of formation of character, building of character, we need to start to drive the essence of climate literacy. We need to start to drive the essence of waste management, responsible waste management, environmental stewardship, and more so have them planted in homes where they can begin to influence the choices that their parents make. Because children, once they tack onto an idea, once they stack onto an idea, they have a way of just putting pressure on you or just committing you into what they believe. Once they see that it is beneficial, for them, and so the ideology that we're selling, we want to be able to ensure that we're getting our children into that space. So those are the things that we did not get to enjoy, as we're growing up. But in partnership with the Ojo Koro local council development area, which makes this one also sort of different because the leadership there is already interested. They're fully involved, and they don't just want to create an awareness, but they want to be able to help the communities to understand the solutions, to be able to benefit economically from it, and to be able to bring some form of empowerment to their people. So EcoCirculate Ejokoro is one of the ways that we want to be able to drive the essence of environmental stewardship, but also tacking on an economic benefit to it.
Some people think we get too technical with conversation on climate change. They don't think it's a problem that affects us directly. Rather, it's a Western challenge, and they find it difficult to change their own ways of behavior because they want to save the whole world. How do we get people to embrace responsibility? It's
essentially through incentivization, like I said, because we don't have that culture of stewarding environment in a constructive way. So in the change management landscape, if it is important for us to induce people to a certain mind frame, a culture, induce a fresh culture into space, the language has to be spoken through incentivization. There's no way in Nigeria you want to sell an idea to a Nigerian, he will say, what's in it for me? How do I gain from it? And more importantly, because if we really study our economic landscape, the prevalent issue or the prevalent challenge with our people will be, how do I make my daily bread? That is the number one, question. If you look at our population, over 22 million of them, and from statistics, we begin to if we begin to weigh out the socioeconomic landscape, you would see that we have a large population that is sitting even in Lagos, within the coastal area. And those coastal areas have been, categorized as highly vulnerable. And we have about 70% of the constituents in those areas actually living either on or below poverty line. And so what it says is that guy who, is living under the bridge because he does not have where he's going to sleep, but he has to survive, is not caring about what his environment is like. Survival is the first thing on his mind. Food is the very first. If he is able to, cover his head under, one bridge, even though he's exposed to all of the harsh conditions, of the weather, what he's going to eat is the next place. And you would imagine that where he's going to dispose his waste, where he's going to defecate,
the same environment,
where he's going to, where he's going to eat, is still around the same environment. So what sort of condition will that be? But if we were to have a conversation with him, to tell him that the waste that you even, dispose sporadically or inefficiently, or in a non-responsible way, can actually be aggregated. You can aggregate that, and just have that urgent 2K on a daily basis for you. It's more likely that he will listen to us, because not only is he able to effect that dignity or protect his dignity of asking for money, he's able to see something that is quickly accessible for him, because everybody generates waste on a daily basis. If we aggregate 13,000 tons of waste in Lagos on a daily basis, and each person generates at least 5 to 7 kg of waste, and 1 kg, a kg of plastic right now sells for about 200, 300 naira minimum. If you aggregate that to say, okay, if I look at plastics and I look at what I can put together on a daily basis, an aggregate of about 10 kg of plastics gives me 1,000, or at least at the most 2,000 naira. That doesn't erode the mindset of that Agberu or that one that sleeps under the bridge, to have something extra, or to be able to give to his girlfriend or to his wife and say, hold this to go and buy Gari and Akara or something like that. So these are the thought processes that we're trying to institute, that we're trying to drive into our communities. And the EcoCirculate project is a scalable and a replicable model that we're creating, and we're adapting it across other communities. We want to be able to achieve that sustainability through continuous engagement, relating and exchanging with recyclers, strong community participation, and integrating with the existing government parastatals. The reason why I say that is because through the value chain of getting the conversion of waste into money, it can also be converted into different other things. It can be converted to recharge cards. It can be converted to food. It can be converted to gas vouchers. And these are some of the things that we present as exchange value, value of exchange at the EcoCirculate programs when we go from community to community. So we're looking forward into, doing that again in Ojokoro on the 28th of February.
Madam, I'd like to thank you very much for your time and expertise on this conversation. We really appreciate you.
You're welcome.
We'll be speaking with Mrs. Titilayo Oshodi, who is a special advisor to the governor on climate change and circular economy. Our focus has been on building sustainability at the grassroots. And one of the key things she has said is that we need to catch them young, and that's why they are focusing on young children to be able to get this message across. That's our package for today on Newsmaker on Radio Now 95.3 FM Lagos. Still, we'll come your way again when we'll bring you another edition of the program. My name is Abiodun Adelowore. At 9:30, we'll bring you Inside CBN Now.